Morning.
Savannah, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to Saints in the City. I'm Sarah.
I'm Pierre. Nice to meet you.
My husband, Pierre.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. All right, so we've been kind of playing email tag here. You've obviously been super busy. I've been watching this story. I follow you originally and live action, and I literally fell off my seat when I saw this video go viral.
Having a child, I'm not the one who admitted they would be okay with killing babies in foster care and killing children that have been abused.
That's not the point. What I'm saying.
That's really.
First and foremost, I know you go into the lion's den when you do these on the street type of interviews. Okay, first of all, how do you do that without just terror? Is that just naturally in you to go into these situations where you know you are going to get even verbally attacked?
Yeah, and you went in one like with Trans Lives Matter or something. It was like a shirt. So you go like undercover.
You are the OG.
Man, that takes some balls.
So go, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I don't go undercover, stuff like this happens. When I show who I really am. But I enjoy it. I really do. I enjoy exposing a lot of the hypocrisy that is on the left and just how extreme their stances have really become.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody's got to do it. And for me, I just remember that like they're not attacking me. They're not really mad at me. They're mad at the truth. And those who hate the truth, they're always going to think the truth is antagonistic. They're always going to think that the truth is harassment. Yeah. And that's not my fault. No. I mean, somebody's got to bring the truth to these people because they are very misguided.
100%.
100%. And why did they get so angry, man? It's like,
well, that's the next. Hold on. I just want to go to the day real quick.
Okay.
So, all right. So I'm going to take you. I know you probably told this story ad nauseum, and just for our viewers, you were just doing that. You're up in Harlem, and you were just going up to people and kind of getting their, opinions about being pro-choice, pro-life, and you come across this girl. Brianna is her name.
It started off kind of cordial too in the beginning.
She was like, "Ooh, I'm going to be on camera." She looked at the camera, and then all of a sudden she starts saying stuff. Take us to that moment where you're interviewing her and what was going on in your head.
Absolutely. So we were out there. I was with Live Action, as you mentioned, doing a Planned Parenthood perception versus reality. So getting people's perception of Planned Parenthood, their opinions, and then actually showing the dark truth of what Planned Parenthood really does and what they don't do. Yeah. And she came up to me first. She was passing by and she was like, "Oh, I love your dress. I love your," and then she said to my husband, I love your skin tone. And she commented on my skin tone as well. And it was like pretty good vibes. You can see the footage is up on YouTube. I even told her had a good vibe. Yeah. And we started talking about it from the very beginning. She was very clear that she was in support of Planned Parenthood. She knew exactly what they did. There was a moment where I asked her what happens during an abortion. Yeah. And she said, quote, that you get the life sucked out of you. And the baby is sucked out, which is exactly the fact. So she knows exactly what she's supporting. She wasn't lied to about what Planned Parenthood really does. She knew the truth. Yeah. And it's a big topic right now that, Planned Parenthood should be defunded because they're stealing our taxpayer dollars, nearly $700 million every single year. Yeah. And she thought that was totally fine. She thought that it was better that our money go to Planned Parenthood to abort children than it would be to paying for kids in foster care or paying for, kids in the adoption system. And it really got ugly, or started to get ugly now that I, can see the footage back when I always ask this question actually for people that claim that we should have abortion because of poor children or kids in foster care. Well, would it be okay to just kill the kids in foster care? Yeah. And her response was, "Why not?" Yeah.
Oh, we saw that.
And I stopped for a minute and I was just like, I looked at the camera, I looked at my husband, and
did you get that? Yeah.
Did I hear that right? Yeah. And I said, "Kill the kids in foster care." And then her second response was, "Who's going to take care of them?" Yeah. And then she starts going on about how, you don't need to be pro-life. She was looking into the camera, telling me that I looked dumb as Fuck.
Yeah.
Went from telling me my dress was so pretty to telling me that I'm dumb. And I said, that's not very nice. And then I just said, I'm not the one who said we should kill kids in foster care. And that's when she said, that's not the point, and just decked me right in the face.
Yeah. And what's sad too, Savannah, is like, maybe you can attest to this, that I know people personally who would be applauding her doing that to you, unfortunately. I've broken bread with people who are probably happy, and it breaks my heart that we cannot just have a disagreement or have the meeting of the minds or what have you. But this topic, for some reason, I don't even say this topic. I feel like maybe I wanted to ask you this specifically, this culture of violence that has just sprouted. I mean, since I've left high school, college, I lived in New York. For me, it's just been co-signed by so many different elements. What do you have to say about that? Do you think this is something that is being organic? It's organic, or being manufactured, where it is okay to attack somebody like you? And you just seen all these different stories where people are just violent, and it's because it's for the greater good, right? You got to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we've seen an increase of violence toward conservatives and pro-lifers ever since the fall of Roe v. Wade. I don't have the exact quote right now, but I know that Jasmine Crockett, the Black representative, she's been in the news a lot lately. And she was just asked, like, how do we deal with, the lack of momentum that the left has had after the election? And she said that we should punch people. The Democrats should get used to punching people. And so when we have leaders like that who are inciting violence, they think that violence is okay, they're encouraging it, then people are going to do it. Like, these are the type of people that the left are looking up to, because she's sassy, she's different, she's typical representative. But this is not somebody who should be making our laws. This is not someone who should be considered as representing the Black community. The Black community is so much better than that, deserves so much better than that. And it's a shame that this is what people resort to for someone just having a different opinion, trying to change hearts and minds on abortion. And I think that the way that Breonna reacted to me being, just having a different opinion than her is what the show for, like, how abortion and the abortion industry affects people. It's not a helpful industry. No. It harms women, and it kills babies.
Well, 100%. And also, I feel like she was embarrassed. I think she heard her say, it's like almost like she's like, oh. And I feel like some people revert to that, It's
like an overcompensation.
Yeah, like, I'm going to triple down on what I said, because I'd rather not have humility or say, whoa, I didn't mean to say that. Oh my gosh, that sounds awful. I didn't mean that. So she decided to go all in. And that's, I feel like, what some people do. I'm just going to go all in. I'm going to walk away like smugly. I'm going to dance. I'm going to get all, everybody to film me, because she's going to be applauded by certain people, this bubble that she's in. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, like, well, I had two other questions, but like, has it something like this happened to you before? Is this something that happens a lot? I mean, obviously this is probably the most dramatic example of this happening to you, but like, has things like this happened, any physical altercations or?
I would think in New York maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's never been this extreme. I've had grown men spit at me. Women and men told me they wish that I could be R-worded, that I deserve, to be killed. I mean, you can see all the things that they're saying about me. Half the internet thinks that I deserve worse. But exactly what I said before, like, abortion is violence, therefore it breeds violence.
Yeah.
And these people want to kill innocent babies. Like, think about what they want to do to me, someone who is a sinner.
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you know of any? It's almost, to me, I feel like it's, especially in the Black community, it's like a genocide, right? So it's like, do you have any, like, when you go up to someone, you start talking to them, what are like some of the biggest facts that you drop on them and they're just like, what? Like,
well, half of them don't even know who Margaret Sanger is.
Right, that's a whole nother.
So that's like, to me, I was opened up to her when I was in New York. Somebody brought it to me, and I've always been pretty pro-life, and I'm just, even now, I'm staunch. But I remember someone said, just look up Margaret Sanger and look at what she did and what she wanted to do to the Black community. And the walls of my apartment just blew open. I was like, who is this woman? And now I say, she is just loving this. I feel like, so again, what would you say to those people?
Yes, well, going around in New York, I mean, it sits closely with New Yorkers when you tell them that it's more likely for a baby to be aborted, a Black baby to be aborted in New York than it is for them to be born. And Black women are, I believe it's less than 9% of the population, if I'm getting that right. Yet we're sold nearly 34% of abortions. It's so sad.
Yeah.
And we talk about, the Black Lives Matter movement, and a lot of the Black community loves to put the blame on white people, put the blame on the police, but it's babies that are being killed by their own mothers in their womb. Innocent little Black babies. Like, we wonder why we're the minority. We don't take family seriously. We don't take life seriously. It's awful. Then we just want to put the blame on other group of people. And that's exactly why I got involved. I care about Black lives, but I care about Black lives from the moment they come into existence to the moment of natural death. There's no picking and choosing what Black life matters, what Black life doesn't matter. If you're a human being, you matter to me. Exactly. That's all you need in order to have human rights.
And I'll take it a step for, I'm sure you feel the same way. I've always thought it's been done on purpose. And they've convinced the community to think this is helping them or somehow saving them or it's a benefit to them. Well, they're actually, they're supporting essentially their own demise. Like they are applauding something that essentially was to eradicate them. And to dismantle them, and was the most racist act ever. And I can never wrap my head around why this is just, and I realized this is being done by bigger entities. This is purposely being done to the Black community. You could speak on that.
Over 80% of Planned Parenthoods are located within minority communities. And that's not like a coincidence.
Nope.
Those are just strategically placed.
Yes.
Because they're like, oh yeah, we'll give you free help. We'll help you if you're pregnant and the dad's not going to be there, or if you're poor and you don't have anyone to support you, like, we'll just get you an abortion.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
So I had another question. I lost it for a second there. So you had this woman and you were asking her, I think she had like one of those like pussycat hats on, whatever they call like one of those pink hats.
Yes, babe.
I need to get one of those. I need to get one of those for my next.
Yeah, if you're undercover.
Great.
Yeah, and you asked her like, what is an abortion, and she's like, yeah, it's just like a seed, like it's just a little cell, and you just flush it out,
Yeah, it's just
like, how do we start educating these people on what exactly it is, and like, do we need to start putting these videos like? And be those people that put those videos showing them like this is what it is and like put it in their face. Like, what do you think for the average person that's trying to reach people? What is the tactic that we need? Do we need to just all be like you and just get out there and what do we need to start doing?
Yeah.
Well, if you're gonna be like me, definitely bring some security out there, which is what I'll be.
Stay strapped.
I got my 6'3". We're in Arizona now. We love it. We're like, oh yeah, you can't come 10 feet.
Keep your protection on you for sure. But it can start by simply just having a conversation about it. A lot of what I do in my interviews is asking simple questions.
Yes.
A literal like elementary school kid could answer, and getting them to admit. One, what a human life is, and then what an abortion does, which is destroy human life. And then talking about, is that okay? Like Brianna did in the interview, you will see she'll try to bring in a bunch of other issues, like the fact that, there's billionaires out there that could help change the world, that Trump is so powerful, that he did this, and that. The police start blaming all the issues on certain groups of people that are in the world, all the injustices that we go through. But getting back on track to what are the unborn. And Trent Horn, who's a Catholic apologist, he has an amazing 10-second apologist rule. Yeah. And it goes like this. If a preborn child is just a clump of cells, then justification for abortion is not needed. But if the unborn are human beings, then there's no justification for abortion.
Yeah.
And so if we get back to what the preborn are, they're the party of science, right? They love saying that. They love saying they believe in science. And over 96% of secular biologists, embryologists, scientists agree that life begins at the moment of conception.
Yeah.
There's no other moment where it begins. The sperm and egg cease to exist on their own. This is what we learned fifth grade in embryology. And it's now a separate entity. And then we want to look at IVF as well. You know, these IVF doctors, they can tell what the gender of a baby is right when they're that little embryo, which is at the beginning of life. And they can tell everything.
Yeah.
They're a little boy, they're a little girls. They're even getting into craziness about, you know, telling their eye color. And it's literally eugenics. It's another reason why I don't support the IVF industry at all. You're playing God.
Yeah.
But on topic, like, this is not something that is a mystery. We're not living 100 years ago where we're like, oh, well, maybe, you know, a baby in the womb is only a baby up until a certain point, and, you know, it changes some point. Like, no, it's very simple. You're a baby from the moment of conception, and you're a human baby if your parents are human.
Yeah. So you also, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
You mentioned like you're Catholic, right? And you're a person of faith. Like, when did this? So obviously this has like been something that God has been working, you know, on you and getting you to this point. Like, when did that journey start for you? Like, were you raised Catholic, or did you become Catholic? Like, what's your story with your faith?
Yes, I was raised Catholic, and I fell away from the church after I was confirmed. And I actually didn't go to church for about, I think, 6 or 7 years until 2020 came around. And I was actually in college in New York, going to school for musical theater. And as soon as I got to college, I couldn't figure out why, like, I was going to my dream school. It was the only school that I applied to, because I was like, I'm going to this school or nothing else. And I got there, was living my dream. Everything that I wanted was perfect, but I felt like something was missing. And I'll never forget, it was the summer of 2019 when I started college. And my friend and I, who was also a Christian, I would have still said that I was a Christian at that time if you would have asked me. I couldn't really tell you how a Christian should be living because I wasn't doing it, right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking that I could just live for myself and that I could just do things on my own. And I found out that did not work very quickly. But my friend and I, obviously going to a musical theater school, there's a lot of people who are, you know, queer, gay, questioning. And I had never been to any sort of pride event. I grew up in South Carolina, so it's a more conservative area. I'm sure they had something, but it wasn't, you know, like it is in New York or California. And my friend and I decided that we were going to go to the Pride Parade, and we start walking there. We were roommates in college, and as we were getting there, I remember we were about a couple of blocks away, and both of us stopped in our tracks, and we looked at each other, and I said, "What are we doing?"
Yeah.
She was like, "I don't know. You want to go get some pizza?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "I do."
Yeah.
And that's like the first moment where I think that was the first time I ever felt God not exactly speak to me, but like he put something in my mind.
Yeah.
100%.
And it was at the exact same time with my friend as well, who, you know, she identified as a Christian. And over the next like year or so, you know, I was very insanely struggling with just like my identity. You know, the musical theater and theaters were all shut down. My school had completely changed. I'm like, I can't act, I can't sing. What the heck am I going to do with my life? And that's when I found out about the history of Planned Parenthood after being interested in all the craziness with Black Lives Matter and being like, why in the world is Black Lives Matter supporting an organization that wants to end Black lives? Like, what hypocrites? And I started speaking out against it online, got a lot of hate from people that I went to school with. It's funny to see people like pop up again now that this is in the media, like the same people hating on me. It's like, girl, get a life. But they're still there, my loyal haters. And
oh, trust me, I know.
That's funny.
I was like, you know, wow. And then I started thinking about, what do I want in life? I want a husband. I want a family. I want to raise my children in the way of the Lord. But yet I'm not doing that myself. I'm not doing the things to get that. And that's when I had to like really put myself in check. And at the end of 2020, I went to mass for the first time in, like I said, like 6 or 7 years, and I just started bawling. I totally felt the Holy Spirit come over me.
Wow.
And God was just like, where have you been?
Yes.
And I was like,
Oh, yes.
I don't know, Lord. Like,
But
I
you're
don't
back.
know.
Yeah.
And but I'm back now.
Yeah.
And although it's been, it's obviously always a struggle. Like, being a Christian is hard. You always are having to check yourself, and sometimes you just gotta say bless your heart, like we do in the South.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then with just the passion that I had for the preborn, I mean, that was from the moment I found out what a baby even was in the womb, and then I was myself even before my God knit me in my mother's womb.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to speak out against this. This is an injustice. I have a voice to speak out for it. And these babies, these women who are being misled, don't. They don't. And so I'm going to start speaking out against it. And I was able to, gain a following. I did do some music talking about my pro-life and conservative values that did really well. I surrounded myself around people like Candace Owens, who's also converted to the faith recently.
Yeah.
And just started living for him and like helping him guide my life. And it worked. I got an amazing husband who's also Catholic.
Yay.
And, we'll be starting a family. So I'm just super blessed. And it really just goes to show, like, God is always waiting for you. You just have to knock at the door,
100%.
Amen. That's awesome. That's a great.
It just brings you
testimony.
back. Yeah. To like, I left the modeling acting industry in New York, kind of similar, where, had a long career, but we had our son, and I remember just going up to my agency, and it had turned into this women's march rally, and they were begging me to go on video. I remember they're like, Sarah, can you speak? And we had a miscarriage a year prior. And it just was baffling to me, because I sat there and I'm looking at this agency that was the top 10 agency in the world, and you represent girls from all over the world, from every country. And they turned it into this political, women's rights, and they hated Trump, all that kind of stuff. And I just looked at her, I said, and she wanted me to do a video about being pro-choice. And I said, I'm pro-life. Like, why would you? We had a private conversation. Me and this booker had a private conversation. She shared deep, intimate things that she felt she was being punished for her past, that I was consoling her on. She was older than me. And then I was just, in her arms, because I had just had our first miscarriage. And, and it was just odd that she would come to me and say, oh, and by the way, can you be a face for this video? And so at that moment, I remember I came back and I just sat and I said, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. My life is going in a different direction. I knew God had a bigger purpose for me and for us, was moving me in a different direction. So here, it's just been a beautiful thing and a journey. Yeah. But to go to kind of are you going to prosecute this woman? I'm dying to know, to kind of like off topic, like, is she gonna face prosecution? Get her. Hopefully.
To the fullest extent of the law.
Good. I was like, I was hoping you weren't like, oh, we're just gonna let it go. No. Okay.
We can't let this go, because like I said before, with representatives like Jasmine Crockett, and just the amount of violence that has been encouraged by the left the past, nearly 5 years since 2020, since the summer of peace, the summer of love, right?
Mm-hmm. Such joy, all the joy.
All the joy.
Yeah, such a joyous summer, burning down RVs and Targets.
I love it. Small business, small Black businesses, women's, but no, it's joyful.
Ridiculous.
No, you guys are awesome.
We have to show them that this is not okay.
Yeah.
You cannot get away with this.
No.
And, while it seems like she's enjoying her time right now, justice is coming.
Good.
But no matter what the courts decide, like, this is all in God's hands.
Yeah.
And we know what happens to people who go against God. Mm-hmm. We know what happens to people who do not stand before him and take responsibility for what they do while they're on this earth. So, right. I'm leaving it to God. Obviously, he's gotten us this far, but we've already won, because over 10 million people have seen this story. Over 10 million people have had to think about abortion, think twice about it.
Yeah.
They've had to come to terms with the fact that, whether they agree with it or not, that abortion is violence. Mm-hmm. It creates violence. And this is what the pro-abortion side thinks is okay. I have seen very few people, and I haven't read a lot of comments, but very few people who are pro-abortion condemn what was done to me.
No, then they won't.
And that's for itself.
That's why I say I started it off with that, saying I probably know people personally, in fact I do, who more than likely are loving it. I mean we got messages of Trump being almost assassinated and applauding it. It was just people that I had grown up with, people I knew personally, and I know them and I love them, and I'm like, what has happened to you? What has happened to you? I could despise what you stand for. There is not one bone in my body that would ever look at you and say, but I wish harm on you. I wish harm on you. It would never happen. We don't think alike.
We're not. Yeah. Exactly.
And I wonder where that disconnect has happened in our society, where we can obviously disagree, but they take it to that next level. And again, like you said, that people are there. It's being co-signed by so many different elements in our society where they think it's okay. And I have a feeling this girl probably thinks she's going to get away with it.
Yeah.
And become famous off of it, essentially.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, she's no stranger to law enforcement. I know that she's been arrested before.
Okay.
Yeah. Not really sure what for.
Okay.
Hopefully the internet can figure that out, maybe.
Sleuths. Okay.
But yeah, I think she knows what's coming. That's why she's, set up a fund. That's why, people are donating to her because, justice is coming. And, she's going to need that. So,
Well, I don't want to keep you too much longer. You probably have a lot going on. But one, are you going to continue to do these street interviews? I mean, has this deterred you, or are you going to?
Now you can't be undercover because
you got to put like a mustache. You got to go Middle Eastern. You got to put a mustache on.
You got to go deep. You got to go real deep.
Right. I think I got to change my hair. That's what's so defensive. But 100%. I already went out this week. Went to a anti-Doge, anti-protest. And there's a new video up on my channel, her Patriot Voice for that.
Okay.
You guys will love that one. Okay. Where I'm being antagonistic, my antagonistic self.
Well, just asking questions.
Firebombing Teslas and like smashing. That's not. But you asking questions. That's too much. Wow. You got to stop.
It's just amazing.
What is too much? It causes too many problems.
But I mean, honestly, if you think about it, like, what is what you can do violence, but asking questions is violence to them.
Exactly. They're just a huge oxymoron in everything, and their belief system is just out of whack, man.
You just have to laugh.
You do.
You have to.
Like, is this satire? Like, almost everything that comes out at this point, like, from the left, I'm just like, wait, is this actually real?
I know.
Or
are we living in some is this a skit that's being done? Like,
alternate universe,
it's
man.
Wild to me. I know.
And you're right, because it's true. It's like I had to get, especially after all the like COVID stuff, like I had to learn how to just breathe and just not take it serious.
He wanted to
learn
fight
to
people.
laugh
Yes.
about it, and just because you just feel like you're gonna lose your mind, And I did want to ask you one more thing. So you're part of Live Action, and what exactly is Live Action? What is the whole?
And where can we find you and all those?
Absolutely. Well, Live Action is a 501c3 nonprofit pro-life organization, and they have an incredible amount of media following. And they've exposed Planned Parenthood for what they really are, racist. They've exposed baby body parts.
The selling of baby body. Yeah.
And they've exposed the fact that Planned Parenthood covers up abuse. They've had, young girls go in there, say that they're with a man that is either twice their age, and they've done nothing about it, and said, we need an abortion because my boyfriend is much older than me, and they've, just covered up abuse. They've exposed the fact that like Black women like Tanya Reid and Cree Irwin, who died at the hands of Planned Parenthood for botched abortions, them refusing or failing to call ambulances when a woman is in need to avoid it being on the media. Like, this is a scandal-ridden organization, and Live Action has been exposing them for decades. It's incredible.
Wow.
And then for me, you can find, like I said, my YouTube is Her Patriot Voice. I also have a Give, Send, Go, where I'm trying to raise money for security. So if you'd like to help me that way, I would really appreciate it to help keep going out there. And then all my other socials are at Savannah Craven.
Awesome. You come to Arizona, you have security here.
Yeah, well, you got a whole fire department that's gonna.
Yes, I love Arizona. It's really hot though.
Yeah, it's a little
I know. I'm like, this shirt it's hitting in the 90s already, and I'm like, I'm not ready for it.
We can't even run the air right now because then it would be in the recording, so it's getting a little warm.
I'm like, oh, I'm looking a little flushed. No, I just want to end this real quick, and the one thing that does get me just personally enraged is the hypocrisy behind all this. And I'm watching. You've been interviewed on all different platforms, Fox News included has had you on. And I just want to ask, like, where are you, CNN? Where are you, MSNBC? Where are you? Because they could say, yeah, this isn't a big story. What's so crazy is I want people to start asking them, if the roles were reversed, what would they be doing and reporting on? If you had sucker punched a person just interviewing you on the street, and the roles were reversed, this would be all over the news. And this is where I feel like my anger comes from. And I say, Lord, take the wheel. Jesus, take the wheel, because I get enraged.
Have they contacted you, CNN, MSNBC, or any of those networks?
Of course not.
Shocking.
Why would they? They have an agenda.
Shocking.
And people say, no, they don't, Sarah. No, they do. They do.
They do.
Yeah.
The New York Post tried to paint it like
that's
as
crazy.
If I'm guilty of something. It's honestly, you just have to laugh about it at this point. Like, you can be stressed out about it.
Yeah.
You can be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're doing this to me. But it's like, these people think good is bad is good.
Yeah.
And we just have to laugh and pray. Pray for them.
100%.
Well, we'll be praying for you and your safety while you're out there doing God's work.
You're doing great things. Like,
and you and your husband. Yeah. You're doing awesome work.
Thank you so much.
To get out there and be in that is just incredible. And I just give so many props to you. And we will pray for you. Prayer of St. Michael 100 times. Yep. But I appreciate you joining us on Saints in the City. And I hope to talk to you again.
Thank you. I hope to come back on soon.
Absolutely,
Awesome.
Savannah. Yeah. Have a good day.